first I had some reservations, but when you get views like this, it's pretty clear that van life has its perks. My name's Kylan and this is my van. She's a 2013 long wheelbase high top sprinter van. I got the van in 2017 and then kitted the van out for full-time living. I'm a structural engineer. I studied civil engineering and architecture at uni, and I got hooked on the tiny house content while on my first backpacking trip in South America. I think I watched every van conversion video out there. I got hooked for so many reasons, but I think above all it's just that people get so creative with their spaces. They solve real problems for themselves and can make themselves really independent. And after a while I thought, damn, I guess I'm gonna do this. I spent what felt like forever researching every van spec and variant that you can find, but I ended up settling on the long wheelbase high top sprinter because I needed enough room to fit my bicycles for commuting, my longboards for surfing, and all my gear for scuba diving and climbing. So you enter the van directly into the kitchen. The kitchen protrudes halfway into the massive door, which saves a ton of space. I do all of my cooking on this awesome little Method cooktop, which is basically a glorified camp stove, but it's much cheaper and more efficient than trying to install gas or use an induction cooktop. When I'm cooking on this thing, when the van's all closed up, I use this awesome max air fan to draw away any of the cooking fumes, and just to bring fresh air in the van when it's hot or cold, when you want some fresh air in here. This thing is really great and there's a lot of air, and I painted the underside of it black just to make sure that the light can't pass in or out of here when you're trying to cook at night and be a bit stealthy. So you've really got to use every nook and cranny when you're trying to fit everything into a space that's this small. This part of the kitchen was one of the last things I did on the van. I thought long and hard about what to do. I'm really happy with how the tiling and the shelf turned out, but mostly it's this utility of this shelf. So all those items that I was using every day, like the olive oil, the sunscreen, the coffee machine, the paper towels, were coming in and out of cupboards, and it was just a nightmare. After putting this in, it's all at hand, it's so easy to access, it's awesome. The kitchen has these 4 nice deep drawers. As a single male, this is way more space than I'll ever need for my woks and my plates and my cutlery and things. And even with a girlfriend around, there's plenty of space for like extra odds and sods, so heaps of room. And in the middle we have this sink. This sink is a nice deep bartender sink with this chopping board that sits inside the bench top. It's got this wall-mounted tap and it's operated with this foot pump here. The water here is drawing from a 110 litre water tank that sits underneath the van, and it's huge. It lasts me about 3 to 4 weeks and about a week and a half with the girlfriend when we go on trips away together. And finally for the kitchen skeleton is fully made from these hardwood pieces that are actually reclaimed bed slats from my brother's roommate that he was going to chuck out. So we saved those from landfill. It ended up coming out really nice. And behind me here is this bench, which is formed partly from this massive 70 litre fridge and freezer, which holds an absolute ton of food for going away off grid. And it creates this nice big bench top here for sitting and chilling and reading and working. The hammock was a must-have. To make this work, we had to specially reinforce the roof ribs on the front and back of the van to make sure it could take the extra weight, which is what we joined these big D-rings to on the roof. This hammock is awesome. It means that we can, chill in here, read a book, or comfortably sleep 3 people in here, 2 on the double bed and 1 on the hammock, or even up to 6 people, which I've done on one occasion. To my left here, we have this awesome little fan here, which keeps the air moving around the van when it's hot, on hot nights when you want to chill out. And I've also got the fruit hammock over there as well. When the hammock's not being used to chill out on, it stays up here in this linen cupboard. This overhead cupboard has 2 things. One, it stores all of the linen in the van, the doona, the bed sheets, the pillows, everything, and the hammock. And another thing it does is it supports this blackout curtain here, which means that when you close this up, there's no light that passes between here and the cab. You can have all the lights on in here and the cab looks pitch black. I've also got this nice little mirror, which you don't always want to look at yourself when you live in a van, but it's there if you need it. And under the passenger seat pedestal, we have the diesel heater. Here's the outlet, which brings up diesel from the fuel tank, combusts it, and then shoots hot, fresh air out into the cabin. And to make sure that we can use this while the blackout screen's on, I've sewn this little magnetic flap, which you can use to have nice hot air when you're chilling in bed and it's nice and dark. Over here we have all the electrics of the van. We have the battery monitor, the diesel controller, the 12 volt outlet, the inverter power, and the two 240 volt outlets that the inverter powers. All of that is powered by a 180 amp hour lithium ion phosphate battery that's charged by 300 watts of solar on the roof and a DC-DC charger from the engine. When both those are running at once, especially in Australia where it's so sunny all the time, that's always enough to get the batteries nice and topped up. Before I started this project, I had no idea at all about any of the electrical systems. Thankfully, my dad's a bit of a whiz with that, so he helped me out a lot. This is the MPPT charge controller, which brings the solar in from the roof. It sits behind this board, which is normally completely out of the way, but I can check the state of charge using wirelessly on my phone, which is pretty nice. So moving down the back of the van, we have these overhead cupboards which run almost the whole length of the van. These run on sliders and hold just a boatload of stuff. Each of these doors has a laser etched mountainscape which runs the whole way down the doors as well. The bed is not a fixed bed, it's a couch single double bed. So it's a single with just this panel. It is a couch when it's in this mode, or it can be a full double when this piece comes and rests on these two rails here. This adds so much flexibility. I can host like 6 people in here comfortably, as I frequently do, or have plenty of space to veg out at the end of the day when I want to. Over here we have the clothes cupboard. These are full height and open right up, which can be opened when the bed is fully made as well. And this is where all the clothes are kept, you know, his and hers. It's quite empty right now because it's just me in here at the moment, but when the girlfriend comes away for trips, this becomes quite full. So the back of the van, the garage, is all about the toys. This is where the long wheelbase really comes into its strength. Here we have enough room for my 8-foot longboard under the bed with right now a shortboard and a boogie board. I can easily fit another shortboard in there. I've got room for 2 bicycles. I've just got mine in there right now. Places to hang wetsuits, store masses of scuba diving gear and climbing gear. I've got this little nook here which hangs all the stuff. I've got my skateboard, the hose for filling up the water tank, got a broom in there for cleaning up, the toolbox, which is very important on the road. Underneath there, I've got a camping chair and table set as well, and in front of that I have a little toilet. The toilet there is just there for mainly emergencies. We've never had to use it yet, but you never know what's going to happen. It's always good to have that on hand. So when you're done surfing and hiking and chilling out, and you want to get some work done, no better place to do that than a nice table. I've got the Lagoon Table, which mounts over here, which is what my table sits on. So this was the original floor of the van. When I bought the van, it had this thick 18mm floor that covered the whole of the van. And I used that as my cutting surface when I cut all the bits and pieces that you see out. And at the end of the day, it was a pretty cool texture. So I kept that and put a blue epoxy in all the grooves and the clear epoxy on top, and now it's my table. So it gives you heaps of extra space to cook when you're cooking. You can chill on a laptop and watch a movie when in bed, or get a bit of work done on the road. So that was my van tour. I hope you liked it. The van took me about 12 months to build on weekends or weeknights in between the 9 to 5. But having the van has been awesome. We've gone on countless surfing trips up and down the coast and it's been blazing hot. We've taken 6 people down the snow and it's been freezing and staying in here while skiing. And having the freedom to just get up and go and have all your needs taken care of wherever you go has completely changed my way of thinking about local travel. So to anyone thinking about doing it, I'd say do it, take the plunge. It's an awesome experience and it's one of the most economical ways to go and see the country that you're in. The process of building the van was long but rewarding. After all the research, it took me over a year of working weekends and weeknights to get it across the line. The learning curve is just crazy. You have to get confident with so many things. Utilities, spatial design, electricals, water, how much solar do you need? How big should your water tank be? Even with years of experience as a structural engineer, it was still a very steep learning curve. I've been thinking of ways to help with this, and over the last few months I've been coming up with some easy install van kits to help people with their van conversions. It's still early days, but if you want a boost to your van build or just want to talk conversions, check out our website or flick us an email.